Hi, Kristen. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
I've got you. Sorry, I was playing with trying to figure out how to do this live on Facebook also.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I guess Zoom has a thing built in where you can just go right to Facebook Live, but I wasn't brave enough to try it on this one.
Oh, we've never done that. I wonder if that's a new feature. That would,
Yeah. Well,
if it works.
Yeah, hopefully. Looks like our emails about this might have been crossing when we were emailing each other a few minutes ago.
Yeah. So the sound is okay. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
Then yes, you do sound perfect.
Okay. Because I've had trouble with my computer speakers, and our RT department had it. And that's why I was kind of paranoid about this morning. I wanted to make sure that it was working without static. So we had some static before.
No, sounds perfect.
Okay. So there we go. Are you able to see my screen? It should be the home page for Bridging Apps.
Yes, we've got it.
Great. And so for the tech huddles, do you do Q&A? Do you manage the chat box, or do you want me to manage that, or how does
yeah, I will manage that. So what I'll
Okay.
do is I'll invite the attendees will all be on mute. And I will invite them to ask questions as you're talking in the chat box. And then I'll kind of keep an eye on that for you. And then whenever what I'll do is when you start presenting, I'll actually stop my video like that. And
Okay.
then when the question comes in through the chat box, what I'll do is I'll start my video again, just so that you can see as a visual indicator to you that, hey, somebody's got a question. And then, finish your thought, whatever you're talking about. But at the next kind of pause in your presentation, that's when I'll jump in and ask those questions.
Okay, no, it sounds perfect. Let's see. All right, want me to turn the screen back over to you? Do you start and do kind of an intro?
Yeah, I will do an intro, but
Okay.
it'll be a verbal thing, so you can keep the screen up.
All right.
And actually, it looks like we have a few people that are joining already. So for those of you that are already on, welcome. You can just kind of hear Kristen and I doing our getting things ready here. So hang tight for a few minutes and we'll officially get this tech huddle going. So Kristen, did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I did. It was very quiet, which is unusual. What about you?
That's a good thing. Yeah, it was good. We did 3 of them. So I was ready for it to be over, but it was fun when we did them.
Too much of a good thing?
Yes. That's what happens. My parents are divorced, so we go to both of those, and then my wife's side, so it just gets a little crazy.
Yeah. And so where are you today? Are you back north?
No, I'm in Indiana today.
Indiana, that's right. Okay. Well, north of us. So, in Houston, everything's north of us.
Indiana is definitely north, yeah. Probably still nice and warm down there, right?
It's, well, I have several layers on because my office is freezing, but it's like, I don't know, in the 50s today. It's not too bad.
I'd take it. The sun came out here for a little while today, and it's just been gray, but that's just kind of how Indiana is this time of the year. So
yeah.
Well, for those of you that have already joined, you can probably hear me chatting with Kristen. Cristen Reat is the founder of BridgingApps, and she's going to be our Tech Huddle presenter today. For those of you that are joining that have maybe never been on a Tech Huddle, when you do join as an attendee, you will be on mute, so you don't have to worry about the background noise or anything like that. If you do have a question for Kristen as she's presenting, you might have heard me kind of chatting with her about this. You can go ahead and just throw that in the chat box. I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. So, as Kristen's presenting, I can get your questions in. So if you're unfamiliar with Zoom, if you go to the very bottom of the kind of the Zoom window there, you'll see a bunch of buttons, and there's one that says chat. If you just click on that, it will open up the chat thing, and that's where you can type your questions. There's also a Q&A box. I typically don't use that, but if you do end up throwing something in there, I'll make sure we get it in. So that will be your way to get your questions over to Kristen as she's presenting. And we're still a little bit early. Cristen, people typically join these right about 12 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Central. So we'll get going probably 1 minute after or 2 minutes after.
Sounds great.
And I did see your email about the other project, and I'm looking forward to talking with you more about that.
Yeah, no, I think that I kind of see how you're thinking it through, and I kind of like the way that you've laid it out, but I also did have some ideas if you're looking for, since you had one developer, if you're looking for any others,
Yeah.
a few that would be great for them to know you, first of all, and second, to share their information about their various apps and platforms.
Yeah, love to. Let's work on that one together. I want that one. Yeah. So we had 35 people register today. If this holds true to most of the other tech huddles, we usually get about half of those people show up just because they are free. For those of you that are on, if this is your first tech huddle, we do record these. So if you missed past tech huddles, you can actually get those at disabilitycocoon.com. We put those in what we call an on-demand tech fest. So if you go to disabilitycocoon.com and look for the on-demand tech fest, that's where we keep all of the recordings of these, as well as recordings from the conferences that we hold around the United States and all of those sessions. So invite you guys to go there. We actually, a little bit of self-promotion here before we get started. We have we're exploring this new thing that we're calling workshops, where we're taking kind of some of the best concepts that we've seen in these tech huddles and expanding the content to a much more in-depth, deep dive into specific topics around tech for people with disabilities. And those are also done online. We're doing the first one on the 12th of December, and that one's going to be on remote supports. Hoping to do another one actually with Cristen here on apps that are available for people. And so we kind of looking to expand those a little bit. So if you just go to disabilitycocoon.com and look for the workshops, that's where you'll find those. We're going to be trying to expand those. So I appreciate everybody joining today. Cristen Reat is our presenter with BridgingApps. Cristen actually spoke at the Tech Fest that we did out in Colorado in late October. So Cristen, appreciate you doing that, and thanks for jumping on to do this one as well.
Yeah, we're excited to be here. Thanks for letting us share the information. We're happy to get the word out and to help people get the resources that they need.
Yeah, thank you. And while we still have a few minutes here, I'm going to see if I can get this thing on Facebook Live. I'm not sure what this is going to do to our recording, so let me play with this for a second. Everybody hang tight. We're showing about 1 minute till, and then we'll get going.
And Dustin, while you're doing that, I'll just give everybody just a little heads up. My office, where I am presenting this morning, is next to a therapy clinic and a school. So if we have some background noise, occasionally there are some unhappy people, kids usually, working their way through therapy. So I apologize in advance. It seems to be a pretty quiet morning, but I just wanted you to know that that would be some of the background noise if there happens to be some noise today.
No worries, Cristen. We have these done from all kinds of different locations, so please don't worry about it. And I think I've got this Facebook thing figured out. So we're going to go ahead and go live and see what happens. Oh, I need a title. So those of you that have just joined, I'm actually trying to figure something out right now, but welcome to today's Tech Huddle. Usually these are a little bit more formal. As you join, you will be on mute. We do that just to kind of keep the background noise down. And then also these are being recorded so that when the recording is done, we don't have a lot of background noise. Our presenter today is Cristen Reat from BridgingApps, which is through the Easter Seals out of Greater Houston. They've put together this great library of apps to support people with disabilities, and we just wanted her to kind of come on and talk about that, some of the apps that they're seeing. So we will get going here in about 60 seconds. I'm showing 12:01. I just want to make sure we give everybody enough time to to get in here, and we will actually be also broadcasting this live on Facebook if I can get this figured out. I'm trying to click around here and do that as we talk here. So 1 second and we will get going. I do want to remind you that you can also ask questions during these tech huddles. So if you're on the Zoom, just go ahead and go down to the bottom of the Zoom window and click on the chat feature, and that will allow you to ask questions. Cristen, as I said, I'll kind of jump on and you know, turn my video back on whenever we do have a question come in. So
sounds good.
Let's give this 1 more second here, and we'll get it going. Shouldn't have done the Facebook thing. I'm trying to figure out how to. Is everybody, Cristen, not seeing your screen? Are you seeing my Facebook page, Cristen?
I am not. I'm still just seeing your in the video.
Okay, great. All right, I think we are good. Looks like we do have some people here that are already asking questions in the Q&A box. Star, I will get that to you. Cristen, I guess this is the first time we've had a question before the presenter even starts, but we'll start it. I'll turn it over to you with a question, Cristen.
Sounds great.
And this question comes from someone in Ohio. She was wondering if you're aware of any rubrics to review apps when considering an app. So I'm sure you may be covering that in your presentation.
Yeah, I'll cover a little bit of that. So that's a really wonderful question, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how BridgingApps approaches app reviews. When we started in 2010, we generally use a framework from Joy Zabala. Her name is Joy, J-O-Y, Zabala, Z-A-B-A-L-A, and she has developed something called the SET framework. It was developed for schools, and it basically focuses on the student, the environment, and the task. So when thinking about apps in general, we kind of modify that because really an app is just a piece of software. So you want to think about the person first and foremost, the set of skills the person has, what they're looking to do, and then the environment that they're doing it in. Are they a wheelchair user? Are they mobile? Are they in school? Are they an adult? And thinking about that environment. So that's kind of generally what we kind of have adapted the SET framework to use with apps. But I will show a screen where it shows kind of BridgingApps' approach to doing app reviews. So hopefully hopefully that answers part of your question. I'm happy to follow up on that throughout the presentation. So thank you so much, Dustin. Very happy to be here. What I'm going to share with you all today is information about basically a database and a website that we have developed that we started in 2010. So just a little background, what you're looking at on my screen right now is our homepage of bridgingapps.org, and you'll see that it's part of Easter Seals Greater Houston. And Easter Seals nationally is the largest disability services provider outside the government in North America. So Mexico, Canada, the US, also have global affiliates in Australia. So our mission is to serve people with disabilities and their families. And BridgingApps started really as a parent support group with therapists. So I am the parent of 2 children. My younger son has multiple disabilities. He was born with Down syndrome, autism, and a visual impairment. And when he was about 5 or 6, that's when the iPad came out in 2010. And all of us and all of his therapists and different parents, we were just amazed at how these touch tablets were really helping our kids make great gains in different areas. And so we knew it would be a game changer and a great learning tool for our children. So we started out with young children, and we started the BridgingApps website that became part of Easter Seals to really share that information. And one of the most important goals we have in sharing information about mobile devices, apps, and how they can be used with people who have disabilities is finding high quality apps that can help meet the needs of a variety of people. So true to that, because we started in a therapy clinic, we partnered with speech therapists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, to help us develop an approach, back to the original question from Ohio, to develop an approach of how to look at different apps. and then share that information, because at the time, and it's still true, there are thousands of apps that come out on the market every single day. So we don't claim to keep up with that, but what we do try to do is we do our best into identifying apps for different special needs, different disabilities, and different caregiver needs. And so a lot of the database that you're going to see, because we started out with young children, focuses on early learning apps. And then we basically moved up through the lifespan. So we then, some of those same apps adults were using, adults with disabilities and their adult parents and caregivers. Then young adults were using some of the same ones, and then all the way up to seniors. So what my goal today is really just to give you an overview of how to use what you can find in the database that we have developed and maintain through BridgingApps. And kind of toward the end, what I'll do is I'll go to the section that shows our approach to app reviews. And if you yourself are a professional, or you know people who use a lot of apps in their lives, we're always looking for people to review them. So we only have professionals do our app reviews. So again, those special ed teachers, psychologists, speech therapists do the reviews for us, but our community is really the most important. So you as a parent, you as a person with a disability, you as a caregiver, we value your opinion. So you can also rate apps and comment on apps. So we kind of use 3 different methods to get apps into our database and then share information out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over. If you can see my screen, at the top navigation, it says home, about, getting started. And right in the middle, you're going to see something called app search. And when I click on app search, it says find an app. Okay, and now what you're going to see is our database. So at the top, what you're going to see is something that says 3,033 apps for people with special needs. And that number changes every day. I've explained before, we have a live connection into iTunes, the iTunes store. And so, for example, in October and April, when there are a lot of different awareness weeks, days, and months, a lot of the app developers put their apps on sale, which is really exciting for us, for some of the more expensive ones. So if today an app is $15, tomorrow it might be $7, it might be on sale. And so our system will automatically update that every 24 hours. So tomorrow you might see an app that's a different price, and you might also see more apps because we've added more, or you might see fewer apps because some apps have gone out of the App Store and are gone. So that's kind of what that number means at the top. Those apps are both for the Android platform and for Apple products, so the iTunes store. So we look at both of those. We don't do a whole lot with Nook or Kindle or Amazon. We have some different blog posts about those apps, but generally the 2 platforms we focus on are Android and iOS. So I'm just going to kind of take you through what you're seeing on the screen. And then we'll do just kind of a little searching, and then hopefully this gives you enough information on your own to be able to search and look for apps and find out information. Is there a question that we have?
We do, yes. There are a couple questions. So do you have a direct link to the app stores, either Google Play or iTunes, like through the app? So if they find an app, they can link directly to the app store to get it?
We sure do. Great question. So yes, and so that's built into our system. When I show you what an app review looks like, there is a way to go directly from our website straight to the store. And just so you know, we don't get any money from that. We just wanted to make it really, really easy for people. So you'll see directly from our platform be able to do that. So I will show you that. I'm just going to quickly go over the left navigation. So if you're looking at the screen, you're going to see at the top left a little magnifying glass and search by keyword. So everybody is pretty familiar with searching, Google searching and searching by keyword, where you just type in something. And I'm just going to type in a word like autism. And then I'm going to hit search. And what's going to come up are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of apps that either have autism in the title of the app, that have autism in the description of the app. Somewhere autism is showing up. So you're going to get, if you see at the top, you read all these pages, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to see 10 pages of probably 20 apps per page, and that's a lot. So you see, for autism, there are just tons of different choices. So if you're doing a search and you type in something pretty broad and you get all of these results and you're still overwhelmed, you can narrow that search down. And there are lots of ways to narrow that search to get different search results. So I'm going to go back in here and I'm just going to walk you through on the left-hand side, you're going to see app lists. So for some people, if you would prefer not to search by a giant keyword like autism or intellectual disability or caregiver, you could come here and click on app lists. And what's going to come up are just tons of different app lists that both we have created and different professional organizations have created and shared with us. So if you want to, your child has a particular diagnosis, or your loved one or yourself, you can just simply type in a keyword and just scroll through these lists. And I'm just going to click on here. I'm going to click on the second page. You're going to see National Stroke Awareness Month, apps for stroke and traumatic brain injury users. So that's one way to kind of shortcut the process if you're feeling overwhelmed of where to start, is start with the app lists and see what other people have created. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pop into one of these apps. I'm going to pick CaringBridge right now, just to show you kind of what I call the anatomy of an app review. And then I'll continue with the left navigation because it'll make more sense when you see what's in an app review. So I'm just going to click on CaringBridge. And to the person's question about, are we linked to Google Play and to iTunes? In the top right-hand corner, what you're going to see is you're going to see the little Android symbol. You're going to see that little green guy. And then you're going to see what looks like a small iPad and an iPhone. What that tells you is that this app, CaringBridge, which is a free app, it shows $0, is available for both of those platforms. Okay? If the Android symbol were not there, you would not see, sorry about that, I just want to close my email. If you did not see the Android little robot, then you would know it's only for the Apple platform. But this one is available for both. It's $0. You'll see right underneath, it's by caringbridge.org, and we always have a hyperlink that you can go directly to the developer and read about that developer and see maybe what other apps they've developed. Some of the developers have really wonderful support documents on their website, videos, how-tos, and things like that. So we want you to have all the information that you need about this app.
Hey, sorry to interrupt you, Kristen. We had
Sure.
a question that kind of came in related to that. And is there a way to search the videos of, kind of displaying what an app, how an app works? Is there a way to search for apps that just have the videos available for them? Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense. Not on our platform, because unfortunately, not all developers, if you can believe it, make videos for their apps. So in some cases, when we find a good video that a developer has created for their app to explain it, we include it. I'll show you where that would be. Unfortunately, a lot don't. When we have time, we try to create our own.
Okay.
So for that, what the best way to do, if you're only interested in kind of video how-tos, is go to YouTube and just search by the particular app or app type. That would be a great way to find out if you're only interested in video. We do have some videos, but unfortunately not all the developers create them.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Sure, great questions. Secondly, you're gonna see underneath where it says updated November 27th. This is an important date because what you wanna look for are apps that are updated and kept up and maintained by the developers. And what we've seen over the course of 9 years is many developers are smaller, and sometimes they either go out of business or they give up. So we love looking at that date to see who is keeping up with every time Apple makes an update in their operating system. We want to make sure that those apps are updated. You will find some older apps on our website. A lot of times they still work, but once they don't work and they're out of the App Store, we remove them. Underneath, you're going to see a green check mark where it says official app. What this means is that this app, CaringBridge, has been through our review process, which means a professional has reviewed this app, some type of professional. In this case, it might be a caregiver, it might be a social worker. For education type apps, it'll probably be a teacher or a special ed teacher. For more therapeutic apps, it'll probably be some type of therapist. So we want you to know that it has this check mark that it's been through the process where we require that people who review apps for us actually use the app with somebody who has a disability. That's really important, we think. To the left, you're going to see download. I'm going to click on download, and what you're going to see, because this app is available for both stores, you're going to see the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. And if I click on one of those to answer the other question, it goes straight to Google Play, and it goes straight to CaringBridge in Google Play. So if you get super excited about reading this review and you want to go straight to it, you can. You're also going to see the share button. You can click on share. And if you get really excited about an app, or you're already using this app and you want to share it out, you can share all these different ways: Pinterest, Facebook, and social media. I'm going to scroll down. So this is all the basic information you're just going to get when you click on an app review. What you see next are screenshots. These are screenshots that the developer has submitted to Google Play and to iTunes. And we just pull that in from iTunes to Google Play. If a developer has not provided that information, this will be blank. We just pull all that directly from them. Then we scroll down. What you're going to see here is something called Bridging Apps Review. This is the actual narrative. This is the actual information that the reviewer experienced when they used the particular app. So sometimes they're short if it's a pretty straightforward, simple to use app, or sometimes it's fairly long if it's more complex and there's more setup required. So you're going to see this one is kind of long because CaringBridge is a platform that you can access on the web, and also it's an app. So you can set it up both ways. So there's a little bit of kind of setup time. In this area, if there were a video, back to the video question, either by the developer or created by us, you would see it in this area. This one does not have a video, but what we've done with CaringBridge is we also have a podcast. So we've done a podcast segment on CaringBridge. And so that's what this is, our podcast. We actually do two, one through the AT podcast at Easter Seals, Indianapolis. And then we do our own podcast through SoundCloud. So as I continue to scroll down, this is all the information about CaringBridge. And you see that they've changed their logo. So now they're purple, but they used to be orange. Okay, so as I scroll down, you're also going to see something called embedded skills and categories. All of these things we manually tag so that when you're searching on the left-hand side, so you see where it says category, age, price, skill, and all of those things on the left, we tag them. So if you happen to type in the keyword search, schedules and organizers, or adults and seniors, if you happen to type that in, then this app would show up in your search results because we've tagged it. We believe it belongs in these categories. It'll make more sense when I also go back and show you how to search. So you're going to get all this information to you. You may or may not need it, but it's just, we know that people search differently. Not everybody does a keyword search, or people do different types of keyword searches to get different information. When I mentioned the user feedback, Dustin, is there a question about that?
Yes, actually, there's a couple of questions that have come in.
Great.
I'll try to get all of them in as quickly as I can.
Sure.
How do you guys categorize an adult? Is it 14 plus or 18 plus or?
18 plus.
18 plus, cool. And is there a testimonials section where people have gone in and that have actually used the app, like a professional or an OT, PT, something like that, or a family member to rate it?
That is such a great question because that's where we are right now.
Oh, perfect. Perfect timing.
So for the person who asked that question, I mentioned that we only have professionals doing the actual official review of our app. However, everybody's opinion is important. And if there were an opinion by a therapist or a caregiver or a person, anybody using the app, you would see it in this section. This section happens to be blank. So no one has shared their information about what they think of this app on our platform right now. But basically, you don't even have to be logged into our system. You could, if you love this app, you could literally rate it without logging in. If you wanted to leave a comment that you hated this app or that you love it and you want to tell people your most important, the most important thing that you love about it, you would have to go to the upper right-hand corner and create an account. because we monitor those just for appropriateness. So there is a way to do that. Not all of them, as you see. This is one that doesn't happen to have any. Also, our social media community is pretty big, and so some people don't go to the website often, but they look at the social media feed because we post every single day. We post an app review at least, or a product review. And so that's another way to kind of find out information about what people were thinking. So that's a great question. The other information you're going to get is very similar to iTunes. CaringBridge, you're going to find other apps that are similar to CaringBridge. So this section called recommended apps are apps that have been tagged similarly, that have similar features about caregiving. So maybe you already use CaringBridge and you want something similar. They're going to see 5 or 6 little recommended apps that show up here. The very last section of any app review is going to be description at the very, very bottom. This one is called just description. And what that is, it's what the developer has written and submitted to the app stores with the app. So we think it's important for users to know, regardless of how Bridging Apps reviewers use the app or what we think about the app, we think it's important for you, the consumer, to understand what that developer developed it for. What did they have in mind? What we love at Bridging Apps is the reviewers and the people like you and people with disabilities who've come up with the most novel, interesting ways of using apps, creative ways of using apps to help them. But we still think it's important for you to have all the information. So we just pull this directly in, just like the price and the screenshots directly in from iTunes and Google Play. So you will see the description. So that is kind of the anatomy of what you're going to see in an app review. I'm going to go back to results. I'm just going to pop back up here to the lists. And the last part of the presentation, I'm just going to kind of review over here on the left-hand side, different ways to search. So the first way I showed you was keyword. The second way I showed you was pulling up different app lists. Probably one of our most popular app lists is this one on page 3, which is called Bridging Apps AAC list. And AAC stands for Augmentative Alternative Communication, which is basically having technology help someone communicate. Maybe they're nonverbal. Maybe they're recovering from a stroke and they're aphasic, or they need help communicating. They're a young child and they might need a choice board to communicate. So this is a very popular list. We try to keep this one updated, and you would find this again in app lists just by scrolling through, or you could search AAC in the keyword search. On the left-hand side, I'm going to click on review status. The app that I just showed you, CaringBridge, had a little green check mark and a circle, as do a lot of these like Cough Drop, FlipWriter, all of them have a green check mark. What that means is those are the official apps that have been through our process reviewed by a professional. The other 2 categories, one is called light and one is called valued. Those are apps that are waiting to be reviewed, but they are important to the community. So maybe you as a parent or caregiver, or you as a professional has submitted an app that you think should be reviewed and you think should be a part of our community. That's what those mean. And as I scroll down, you're going to see the app called Pat the Bunny, one of our Easter list, and you'll see at the top there's a little heart. That is a valued app that has not been reviewed yet, but somebody really liked it and thought it should be part of our community. Okay, I'm going to close out review status. So you can search, if you only want to search by apps that we've reviewed, you can simply search by clicking on official. And I'm just going to quickly go down here. So category, we create new categories all the time. You may not see a category that you're interested in. We may consider adding it, or you might just consider going up to keyword search. But you'll see AAC communication is a big category. Adults and seniors, adult, again, we kind of decide is 18. We look at kind of the legal adult, which is 18. All these different categories, you could basically just click on switch accessible. You can just click on and it will pull up results. So basically, for those of you who have who are switch users or have children who are switch users, you can look at these different apps that can work with a switch. Is there a question about category?
Yes, as you were doing the review, showing the different ways that you can filter by review status,
Yeah.
continue to see valued status after it has been officially reviewed?
Say that one more time. Can I what?
Can you continue to see the apps that are rated as valued status after you do have an official review? I'm not sure if that I'm asking that question right. The question was written, can you continue to see valued after it has been officially reviewed?
So once an app if it's in our database waiting to be reviewed, and then it is reviewed by one of our professional reviewers, that the heart will actually change to a green check mark.
The green check, okay.
I don't know if that answers the question. You can still see all three of those categories. You can clear your search and start all over and see all the categories all the time. But once that app has actually been reviewed, we actually change it on the back end, so it would then turn into a green question mark. So hopefully that answers that. Yeah,
I hope we got that question answered. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So again, you can look at category. So there are a lot of things, again, because we started out with young children, people were searching by age, especially under age 6. And so if you have a really young child, I would suggest maybe putting an age, and that would be more kind of cognitive age. Or again, some of our kids who are developmentally delayed, they might be 10, but they may be operating on the cognitive level of a 4 or 5-year-old. So the advantage is you could just type in like age 4 and then hit search. And then you would filter those results based on the cognitive age of somebody. I can answer more about that, but I see that we're running close to the end. I want to get to price. You can search by price. So a lot of our teachers have no budget, so they just want to search by free. So you can basically, I'm going to clear out our search up here. And you can just search by free. I just typed in $0, and I'm going to hit search. And so now it's going to come up with all the apps that are free. Some of these apps that are free may have an in-app purchase, but at least there's some of the app that is free. So I'm just going to let you know a lot more developers are going to subscription basis where they're making you do in-app purchases. The last few are skill. These are different skills. The therapists love talking about skills, and so a lot of therapists search this way. So these are some skills that we've come up with. Hygiene skills for young adults with intellectual disabilities, gross fine motor, personal daily living skills, problem solving. Just different ways that you can search because we know that people search differently. For teachers, for kids trying to match up apps with IEPs, you can search by Common Core. In Texas, we don't use Common Core, we use Texas Standards, which is TEKS. And then the very last one is mobile device. And this is pretty important because let's say you're an Android user and you don't really care about anything having to do with Apple. You can basically click on Android here. And it's going to filter out all the apps that are in our database, and there are quite a number of them that are available on the Android platform. The last thing I'm just going to switch back over because I promised that I would talk to you about our review system. So how we approach reviews. So on our BridgingApps.org, if you go to home and you go to about, the third one down really describes how we approach app reviews, how we developed this system, the assessment tools that we use for under age 6, and really anybody over age 6, we then really look at grade level because most of our kids are in school, and even if they're not on grade level, they're required by law to have access to the general curriculum. So you can search by grade level. You can also search by cognitive level. And in a big growing area that people are asking us to look at for those with disabilities is financial technology. So how to use banking apps, how to learn about money. And so this is an explanation about how we approach what's called fintech or financial technology. And I'm just going to pop right back here and just see if there are any questions, as I think I finished on time.
Good job. Perfect timing, actually. Actually, there were a couple other questions, kind of going back to the review status. I don't know if I got that question asked exactly.
Okay.
I think the person is asking after, if an app is marked as valued after it has been officially reviewed, can you still kind of filter by apps that were marked valued prior to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
Okay, cool. And then one question that kind of came in that I intentionally left until the very end is somebody was asking about kind of a websites where you can go to find free app of the day. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I'm not 100%, but do you know of any of those sites where apps that are typically paid may be offered for free on specific days? And do you guys feature those, or how do people find those?
So a couple of things. I don't know of anybody who's doing that, which doesn't mean that nobody is doing it. I know that a lot of therapists like to do that because they're working in the school system where, again, the teachers and families have no budget, and they do like a free app of the day. There also used to be a few apps that would like crawl through the app store and pull those free ones out of the day. And those apps were not, to my knowledge, were not maintained. There used to be one called App Shopper. I mean, there were a number of them, and I don't know. So I would recommend either going, if you're looking for particular types of apps, or you have a child or a loved one with a particular disability. Sometimes those organizations feature those on their social media, but it's really hard to keep up with. The easiest way on our platform is to, as I went in for price, is you just type in 00, and then you hit search, right? So you just hit search, or maybe you narrow down your results with something, and then you filter it by price to see which ones are free. The best time, as I mentioned before, to buy apps are probably April and October, because there are so many kind of awareness months. So the more expensive apps, that's when they go on sale, or they're free. So that's how I would address that.
Great. We're here. We've had lots of good comments in the chat as you've been talking to, and someone said thanks for the April and October tip. So
yeah, and they do it other times too. Also, we work with developers, so when we can, we do free app Fridays. I should mention that, and we do that through Facebook generally. So free app Fridays for the holidays, we'll probably get some freebies. So always look, because we can share codes out from different developers. But again, also one last thing I'd like to say too is that we run a help desk. So if beyond today, if you had questions about a specific app, or you're looking for a particular type, we're happy to answer those. So just reach out. Somebody will get back to you within a day.
Great. And I did share a link directly to Bridging Apps in the chat so that everybody can get there. But if you just search for it, it pops right up. So
great.
Well, Cristen, thank you very much. I'm glad we were able to get you on here to do this. And thank you for everybody for joining today's Tech Huddle. If you like this, we may be hosting an in-depth workshop where Kristen's going to show a variety of different apps. So stay tuned. We're still kind of working on the details. Cristen, thank you again. Really appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate your taking the time at lunch.
Somebody says awesome website. So great. Hey, thanks everyone. And Joel, we'll see you all next week. Next Tuesday at 12 o'clock, we have another Tech Huddle. And I can never remember what next week's is, but just go to disabilitycocoon.com and you can figure it out. Thanks everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Cristen.
Bye.
Bye.